Welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to look at how to create a GitHub repository, okay? And before we even get on to creating a GitHub repository, we will create a GitHub account, and then we will look at why we even need a GitHub repository, okay? So let's just get on to that. So we want to look at why do we even need a GitHub repository in the first place? So one of the reasons why we need a GitHub repository is for version control. Okay, so you want to keep track of your code. We want to keep track of all the changes that occur in your code during the development process. Okay, so with version control, you can always revert back to older versions of your code or maybe later versions of your code. Okay. Another thing is for collaborations with teammates. Okay, so if you are working on a project with a number of people on the same team, you'll be able to give access or permissions to these team members who can then push code to that particular repository. Okay, and one other thing is for showcasing your work to potential employers. Okay, so if other people are interested in the work that you are doing, they'll be able to check that out on GitHub through your GitHub account and the particular repository that you are working on. It also helps in deployment. So we have something called continuous deployment. If you're working with platforms like Netlify, Heroku, or Render, you basically put your code on the repository and then you give permission to that platform, and they'll basically go through all of the build process and testing of your code before finally deploying it onto a server, and then your website will be live on the internet. Okay, for backup and storage. Okay, so with a GitHub repository, you basically put your code on a storage system online. So even if you lost your disk drive, okay, or if you lost your drive, whether your drive crashed or something, you will still have access to your GitHub account, and then you have access to that code. Okay, so it basically helps you free up storage on your personal device while keeping all of your code files on a remote server. Yeah, so it also helps with documentations. Okay, that's the next point we are looking at. If you are having a GitHub repository, you basically will create README files that will demonstrate how your project works and how people could get started with your project. Another thing is it is free and it is widely used. Okay, so you don't have to pay a penny or a cent to have your code online. All you have to do is to register for a free account on GitHub, and then you can always push your code to that particular GitHub repository. Okay, yeah, so with this said, we want to go straight to creating the GitHub account and then create our GitHub repository, right? So yeah, so we want you to open your browser and then type in GitHub. Okay, so this is the URL here, or the domain, which is github.com, and this is the home page that you land on if you search github.com. Okay, now one thing you want to note is on your right you will see a sign up button. Just click on it and then you'll be asked to enter your email. Okay, so once you enter your email, they'll send you a verification. You go through that and then you set up your password and log in. Okay, so I already have an existing account, so I'm not going to sign up for a new account. However, I'm just going to log into my account and then we'll just go ahead from there. Yeah, so yeah, once you are signed in, this kind of the interface you would see. I already have some repositories on my GitHub account, but you wouldn't. So you have your account information. I follow a number of people on my GitHub, so you will see the feed here in the home page. Let's head to the main focus of this video, which is how to create your very first repository. Okay, so I want to head to this plus sign, the button on the top menu bar, or navigation if you wish, and then you just want to click on that, and then you have new repository, import repository, a number of stuff here that you can look at later on as you continue to explore GitHub in the future. Okay, so just click on new repository, the site loads, and what you are greeted with is a page for you to create your new repository. Okay, now I want to give your repository a name, so I'm just going to call it youtube-lesson. Okay, so now you have a repository named youtube-lesson. Okay, so as you can see, there's a message saying that youtube-lesson is available. So yeah, so you enter a name that you want. It should be a simple name, and also should be relatable to the project that you are building. Okay, so for me, it's a tutorial, so I just put on the YouTube lesson. Okay, so you can include a description of your repository, what your repository is about. I'm just putting in here practice HTML and CSS with this tutorial, even though that's not what we are doing here, but it's just some text that we want to put in there. Okay, but you can also leave this blank. It won't throw an error message at all. It will still be very simple to do. Okay, now you want to check that your repository is a public repository. This way, anybody who visits your GitHub account will have access to this repository. They can fork, they can clone the repository, and they can also have access to what that particular repository is about. So if it is something you don't want to share with the public, you can select a private repository and then add a readme. Okay, so you can add a markdown file describing your project and how people can clone and run the project on their local devices. So with a public repository, one thing you want to note is if you have a static website, a site that is written with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can host that site on GitHub pages for free. But that is only possible if that repository is on there. It's a public repository. Okay, so yeah, that is it for the license and add a git ignore. You learn how to do that later in another video, but I think this is all okay. So we are just going to go ahead and click on create repository. So yeah, so once that is done, your repository has been successfully created, and then on this page you'll be given kind of a process you go through. These are git commands that you go through to push your code online. Okay, so in the future we will push code online, and then we'll also learn how to host our project on GitHub pages. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on my future uploads.